welcome you back to In Focus. And joining me now is In Focus health correspondent Lenore Madu. Nice to have you back.
It's good to be here.
You have some important information for an issue of concern to a lot of women in Africa and
Very
around the world.
Very important indeed. We're going to look at a sensitive topic in Africa, what some call female genital circumcision and others female genital mutilation or FGM. Efforts are underway in some countries to put a stop to the practice. Jacqueline Ogo Mesarawan reports from Nigeria.
Female genital cutting is a traditional practice that involves removing the clitoris. It is also known as female circumcision and is common in many countries in sub-Saharan Africa. In Nigeria, many of about 250 ethnic groups of various religions and traditions practice female genital cutting. Long-held cultural beliefs say a circumcised woman keeps her virginity and is faithful to her husband. Some people also believe that a circumcised woman will be safer in childbirth. Medical experts say that is not true. Doctors say women who undergo the procedure can bleed to death if a complication occurs during it, or can be infected by HIV when traditional practitioners repeatedly use unsterilized instruments. Despite these concerns, some still defend female circumcision.
Of course, I believe in female circumcision. I believe in it because it will help curtail the act of promiscuity. It will also go a long way in curtailing the spread of HIV/AIDS.
Some ethnic groups circumcise girls just after birth, while others do it during their teenage years, just before marriage, or during pregnancy. A circumcised woman is regarded as clean, fertile, and deserving of marriage. Those who are not circumcised are often referred to as unclean, promiscuous, wild, and rebellious. Some Nigerians object to these characterizations.
I'm against it. I'm against female circumcision. Why are they circumcising us? Why? Why do we need it? As a female, we don't need it. For male, okay, I know that one, it's okay. They have a reason for doing it and they can justify it. For female circumcision, no one can justify it. Even if you go to the hospital, they will tell you it's medically wrong.
Human rights activists in Nigeria say the government should prohibit female circumcision because they believe it violates the sexual and reproductive rights of women. Activists argue that Nigeria should embrace change in its treatment of girls and women if the country is to take pride in its national development. For VOA, Jacqueline Mesarawan reporting.
Joining me from London to talk about female genital cutting is Comfort Momoh, a public health specialist who runs the African Well Women's Clinic in London. In the beginning of this year, she received an award from British Queen Elizabeth for services to nursing and women's health care. Ms. Momoh, thank you so much for joining us and thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, how do you call this practice? For you, is it female circumcision or female genital mutilation?
I know there have been lots of debate around the terminology. For me, it is female genital mutilation because it shows the extent of damage to the vulvar area.
And why do you think that people are so much debating around the name to begin with?
I guess people are debating around the name with international organizations such as United Nations, WHO, which is the World Health Organization. There have been lots of debate around it because of the sensitivity around it, which I acknowledge. But at the same time, when you're working with the practicing community, you have to show sensitivity and you have to work with them holistically. But when you're with the professionals, you need to show the extent of damage to the vulvar area.
Now, you have been very active to try to stop this practice. Tell us why. What have you been doing?
Here in the UK and also nationally, locally, and internationally, we work tirelessly to campaign against female genital mutilation or cutting. I work closely with the police here in the UK to gather intelligence, to work with the practicing community. I work very closely with Home Office, who are the immigration officers. We work with the community, and I'm the vice president for an organization called Euronet, which is the European-wide organization campaigning against FGM in Europe as a whole, as well as in Africa.
Now, what about the fact that this practice is somebody's culture or tradition or part of somebody's religion? How do you convince people to stop it? Why should they stop it?
I know there have been lots of argument around that. Can I just make a point here? Although some practicing community sees it as a religious obligation, but we know that it's not a religious obligation. It is being practiced by Christian and Muslims alike. It's not in the Quran, it's not in the Hadith, so it's not a religious obligation. As well as with the Christians that performs it, it's not in the Bible as well. Sometimes people want to argue and say, well, it is our culture, it is our tradition. I respect people's tradition, I respect people's culture. In Africa, we've got lovely cultures and tradition, but FGM or female genital cutting is something that we need to educate people about the complications. I run a clinic here in the UK for women and girls who've been mutilated.
We're running out of time, I'm told, unfortunately.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely make sure to have you back to continue the discussion. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thanks to our In Focus health correspondent, Lenormah Dou. A very interesting conversation there. Now, for more information on these stories, please go to voanews.com/TV to Africa. It's time now for another break, and when we come back, the uncertain future of an historic African island.